So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. The button is just down there. Anyway, let's get into the video. So, like I said, I have 15 books and the majority of them are romance, but I do have a few that aren't, so we'll go through those first. The first one is Lily's Promise by Lily Erbert and Dov Foreman. So, this is Lily's Promise, how I survived Auschwitz and found the strength to live. I'm going to read the blurb. At the age of 96, Holocaust survivor Lily Erbert made headlines when her great-grandson, Dov, used social media to track down an American soldier who had liberated her in 1945. In Auschwitz, Lily had promised herself that if she survived, she would tell the world her story. Now was her chance. In Lily's Promise, she writes about her happy childhood in Hungary, the death of her mother and two younger siblings on their arrival at Auschwitz in 1944, and her determination to keep her two remaining sisters safe. She describes the inhumanity of the camp and the small acts of defiance that gave her strength. With the pain of the past ever present, this extraordinary woman found the strength to build a new life for herself and to speak out in the hopes that such an evil would never happen again. So I thought it was really important to read this book. I saw it in the works, and I have read a few books about the Holocaust in the past and like World War II, because World War II, you know, everyone has like those history times they're like obsessed with, or like they're really fascinated by. Mine was World War II and the Tudors and the ancient Egyptians. So I would do a lot of reading on those. I have read a fair bit about like the Holocaust. So when I saw this book in the works, I got it because it's always good to just read people's stories, people who lived in the camps, who survived them. It's very important. So this is the first book. So I'm very excited to read that one and to hear more about her story. Okay, so the next two books are actually Welsh books. So I went into Waterstones, this was last year, and they had a sale on books set in Wales. Now, I live in Wales and am part Welsh, and I just love Wales so much. So I picked up a few books, but I have two with me here. The first one is Delilah by Rodwy Wyn Owen. This is what it looks like. You got the stadium at the front here. So, when hard-drinking editor Humph Blake goes missing, along with £5,000 from his newspaper's bank account, journalist Dum Bradley finds himself questioning the father figure he thought he knew, and quickly lands in the deep end of the biggest story of his career. 30 years ago, Humph cut his teeth reporting on a notorious murder at the construction site of the country's world-famous National Rugby Stadium. Just this one here. Now, just months before the stadium's rebuild has to be finished in time to host the sport's biggest tournament, another body has turned up. What links us to stadium murders? Where is Humph? Why is Chick Fleet Street reporter Mara McKenzie in town on the trail of local construction tycoon Ivan Harris? And who is trying to kill him? So, I thought that sounded really fascinating, and it's set in Wales, and it's by a Welsh author. So, I cannot wait to read this book. I really want to read more books that are set in Wales and more by Welsh authors, because I love Cymru. I also, on the topic of Wales, I thought I'd show you my bracelet. Let's take it off. This is what my boyfriend's mum got me for Christmas, and it says Gorgeous Bracelet by J&J, and it says Cariad on the front. Can you see that? And that's like the word for love, but not as in like love, but as in like the name love. Do you know what I mean? Like love, darling, sweetheart. So I thought that was really cute, and I love to wear it because, like I said, I love Cymru and it's a beautiful present, so I love that. On to the next book. So again, this is another Welsh book. is called Wild Spinning Girls. I did speak about this in my first book video a few months ago, but I will read the blurb, and I want to apologise for my pronunciations because even though I live in Wales, my Welsh is very, very bad, and I do struggle saying some words, so I do apologise in advance. But here we go. If it wasn't haunted before she came to live there, after she died, Dear Cumbril made room for her ghost. She brought magic with her, and the house, having held its breath for years, knew it. Ida Llewellyn loses her job and her parents in the space of a few weeks, and thrown completely off course, she sets out for the Welsh home of her father. The Welsh home her father has left her. Dear Cumbril is not at all welcoming, despite the fact it looks inhabited, as if someone just left. It is being cared for as a shrine by the daughter of the last tenant, determined to scare off her old home's new landlord. Heather Morgan sides with the birds who terrify Ida and plots to evict her. The two girls battle with suspicion and fear before discovering that the secrets harboured by their thoughtless parents have grown rotten with time. Their broken hearts will only mend once they cast off the house and its history and let go of the keepsakes that they treasure like childhood dreams. So, this again, it doesn't sound like a book I would normally read, but I'm very excited to read it. I love the cover. I think this cover is stunning. So, there is that one. I then have two more non-romance books. The first one is one that I've seen advertised everywhere, and I swear this book, like the advertising, has been following me around. I saw it the other day when I was at the train station, and then one of my friends posted it on a Snapchat story. I've seen ads for it on like every social media, and it is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. So I have wanted to read this book for a long time, but I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy it because, you know, I have plenty of books I need to get through. But I went to Tesco yesterday, and Tesco do this deal where you get 2 books for £9, right? This was the last copy. I took that as a sign because the day before yesterday, because I got the book yesterday, the day before, I was on the train and I saw a poster about this book. And when I went to Tesco, it says the last copy, and I was like, it's a sign, I have to get it. So I have wanted to read this book for a while. So I'll read the blurb. They say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. Meet Grace Bernard, daughter, sister, serial killer. Grace has lost everything, and she will stop at nothing to get revenge. And that's it. That's all we know. I am so excited to read this book. I think out of all the books I have to read, I am very excited about this book. Also, I love the colour scheme, like pink and black. Very simple, but I love it so. That is that one. And finds herself on the way to Tobago, single, disillusioned with his corporate job on Wall Street. Roman is starting fresh in Tobago. He doesn't need a distraction, especially in the form of a free-spirited travel blogger, but there's something about Samantha that intrigues him. As romance blossoms, Roman and Samantha must learn to risk their hearts, but when secrets are revealed, their new relationship is put into jeopardy. Now Samantha and Roman must decide what they really want. They came to Tobago to find themselves, but could finding each other be what they needed all along? So it sounds like a very interesting book. I love a good romance, and this sounds right up my alley. So I'm very, very excited to read this one. I feel like I'm saying that about every single book. I need to come up with a new phrase, but I am actually excited to read this book. The next book I've got is one that I got a few months ago after I read this book that was blowing up on Book Talk. I'm very easily influenced. I liked that book. In fact, I fell in love with that book, and that book got me into reading. So I went out and bought a few more books by this author. Ladies and gentlemen, I Love by Colleen Hoover. This is on my TBR list. Now, I have read Verity, It Ends With Us, and It Starts With Us, and I enjoyed them. Verity, that was my first thriller book, and oh my god, that had me in a different mindset. It Starts With Us, it was okay. I feel like it was giving something, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted it to give. Anyway, I've got Ugly Love here, and I was really excited to read this book, and I still am in a way, but I discovered that in this book they talk about newborn balls. I'll put the quote up on the screen here. Colleen, babe, what was going on in your head as you wrote that? Anyway, this is one of the books I want to read because I just want to get it read and over with, but it does sound interesting. Anyway, it's not exactly love at first sight for Tate Collins when she meets the tormented and secretive Miles Archer. They wouldn't even go so far as to consider themselves friends. The only thing Tate and Miles have in common is a mutual physical attraction that can't be denied. Once their desires are out in the open, they realise they might have stumbled on the perfect no-strings arrangement. He isn't looking for love, and she doesn't have time for it, so that just leaves her sex. What they've got could be surprisingly satisfying, as long as Tate can stick to the two rules Miles has for her. Never talk about the past, and don't expect a future. They think they can handle it, but everything is different when real emotions start to change the equation. Hearts get infiltrated, promises get broken, rules get shattered, and love gets ugly. So it sounds really interesting, and I do like a good friends with benefits situation, but just the thing about the newborn balls, that's kind of turned me off wanting to read this book. I still want to, but I'm going into it with a bit of distaste for the book already. But anyway, this is one of the books that I want to read this year. On to the next one. This is the next book. It is The XX by Erin Sterling. This is a book about witchcraft and romance, and if you couldn't tell by my ring here, I'll take it off so you can see better. I am a practicing pagan, Wiccan, witch, whatever you want to call it. That is my religion in years ago. Now, Reese Penhallow, descendant of the town's founders, breaker of hearts, and still irritatingly gorgeous, is back. Reese has returned to the quaint town of Gravesglen to recharge the Lee lines and make an appearance at the annual Fall Festival. But when his every move results in calamity, Vivi realises that hexing Eric's might have not been so harmless after all. The curse starts to affect the magic of the town, resulting in a murderous wind-up toys, an outraged ghost, and surprisingly talkative cat. Vivi and Reese must put their personal feelings aside and work together to break the curse and save not just the town, but also Reese's life. It sounds like a really interesting, funny romance book. What more could you ask for? So, very, very excited to read this book. Like I said, I love romance, and that's the fact that there's like witchcraft in it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I did want to read this book around Halloween time, but I just didn't. And I really regret not doing that because I feel like this would have been perfect to read around Halloween time, but that's fine. So, there's that one. Now I have 3 books by the same authors here. Miss Christina Lauren, who I only found out like for a TikTok comment are actually 2 different people. It's not one person, it's 2 different people. Anyway, I have 3 of their books here. The Soulmate Equation, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, and The Honeymooners. So I'm going to start with this one, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. There is a bookmark in it, and I can tell you now, I've never read this book before. I don't know why it's in there, but this is one of my bookmarks. Oh, this is one of them. Like, that is sick. I love it. I'm trying to get more bookmarks because I only have this one, a 17 photo card, and I'm actually going to order one off Etsy. It is a Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars bookmark, so I'm very excited for that to come. Anyway, this is the book. Hazel Camille Bradford knows she's a lot to take, and frankly, most men aren't up for the challenge. If her army of pets and taste for the absurd don't send them running, a lack of filter and tendency to say the wrong thing will. Their loss. Not everyone can handle a Hazel. Josh M. has known Hazel since college. From the first night they met, when she graciously threw up on his shoes, Josh has always thought of Hazel as more of a spectacle than a peer. But now, 10 years later, after a cheating girlfriend has turned his life upside down, going out with Hazel is a breath of fresh air. Not that Josh and Hazel date, at least not each other, because setting each other up on progressively terrible double dates means there's nothing between them, right? Oh, love it, love it, love it. I love fake dating. Like, fake dating to me is one of my favourite genres. I don't know why, I just love it. Like Spanish Love Deception, fake dating. I ate that up, and I will eat this up 100%. So, that is this one. Now I'm going to talk about the Soulmate Equation. So, Jess Davis is a numbers genius, but when it comes to love, she's had to accept that there is no magic formula. Juggling a career with raising her daughter, it's not surprising that her love life is non-existent. When yet another date ends in disaster, she's prepared to give up on love for good. But then she hears about Genetic Alley, a buzzy new matchmaking company that claims to find you the one using a DNA equation. Suddenly love doesn't seem quite so far out of reach, until her test shows an unheard of 98% compatibility with Genetic Alley's founder, Dr. River Pina. Jess already knows Dr. Pina, and that man is 100% not her soulmate. Yet as the pair are dragged from one event to the next, as the ultimate diamond pairing that can make genetically a fortune, Jess begins to realise that there might be more to the scientist and to the science behind a soulmate than she thought. This book sounds very interesting. nicest person in the world. While she's about to marry her dream man, Olive is forced to play nice with her nemesis, the best man, Ethan. Yet Olive's luck may be on the 10. When the entire wedding party, except for Olive and Ethan, gets food poisoning, there's an all-expenses-paid honeymoon and Hawaii up for grabs. Putting their mutual hatred aside, Olive and Ethan head for paradise. But when Olive runs into her future boss, the little white lies she tells him spirals out of control. Forced to play loving newlyweds, she and Ethan find themselves in closer proximity than they ever expected. Soon Olive finds that maybe she doesn't mind pretending. In fact, she's beginning to feel kind of lucky. Oh, goodness me, more fake dating. They're pretending to be married. Forced proximity, are you joking? Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So there is that one. I have 3 books left. So I think this one is Enemies to Lovers, and it is called I Love You, I Hate You. I got this from the wax. I think this is in the 3 for 6 deal. Victoria and Owen are bitter rivals. Nora and Luke are friends online who believe that these two couples have anything in common. Of all the decisions brilliant lawyer Victoria Clemenceau has made in her life, an unforgettable one-night stand with her opposing counsel Owen Paul is either the worst or the best. One thing is certain, these long-standing rivals aren't going to let their searing attraction stop them from winning the biggest case of their careers. Thankfully, Victoria and Owen have someone to vent to about their nemesis. But they have no idea that their online friend, Nora and Luke, are the very people they hate in real life. As Nora and Luke go closer online, and Victoria and Owen find their undeniable attraction hard to resist, the lines between love and hate blur. But when the truth comes out, will their online chemistry work in the real world, or will their constant rivalry sever their connection? Sounds very interesting. It's like enemies to lovers kind of thing, but with a twist and turn. But it does sound like quite cool. I'm trying not to say like interesting or I'm very excited to read this because I have said that about every single book so far. Okay, so this book is about Marissa Rossi, and she is given the opportunity to move to a remote island off the Cornish coast. Since the death of her beloved grandfather, she's been struggling to find a way out of her grief, and she's thinking this would be the perfect place to just recuperate. But Mount Bulburn is a far cry from the sleepy little place that she was imagining. Between her noisy piano-teaching neighbour and the hustle and bustle of the local community, Marissa finds solitude is not easy to come by, especially when she finds herself somehow involved with a tiny local bakery desperately in need of some new zest to save it. So I love Cornwall. I love any books set in or around Cornwall, and very clearly I love romance books, so I am looking forward to reading this one. And I just love the cover as well. I look at that, like the detail, the little village, little village. It's so cute, so I'm very excited to read that one. Last but not least, we have Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. This book follows Karina Mann and Prem Verma. So, Karina Mann, she dreams of having a love story like her parents, but she doesn't really go on dating apps. And when her father announces that he's selling her late mother's home, Karina makes a deal with him. He'll gift her the house if she can get engaged in 4 months. But her search for a soulmate becomes impossible when her argument with Dr. Prem Verma, host of the Dr. Dill show, goes viral. Now the only man in her life is the one she doesn't want. Dr. Prem Verma is dedicated to building a local community health centre, but he needs to get donors with deep pockets. The Dr. Dill show was doing just that until his argument with Karina went viral, and he was left shortchanged. matches conflict with hers. Prem finds the more he's with Karina, the more he spends to believe that she's the woman he wants to spend the rest of her life with. But for Prem and Karina to find their happily ever after, they must admit that hate has turned into fate. So this book sounds super interesting, and I am looking forward to reading this book for sure. I remember when this book blew up on TikTok before it came out and after it came out, and I've heard a lot of positive reviews on it. Okay, so that is all the books I have here to show you. Obviously, this isn't my entire TBR list. I do have so many more books I want to read, but I would be here forever if I went on about every single book I would like to read. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you if you made it this far. I appreciate you watching me. Remember that you are loved and you are appreciated, and I'm wishing you all Godspeed. I will see you hopefully in the next snazzy jazzy ASMR video.